At the United Nations, world leaders rise to recognize Palestine, once a dream, now a declaration. From the ashes of empire to the struggles of today, this is the story of a people's fight for a state. Imagine a moment when centuries of conflict, diplomacy, broken promises and hope converge in a single announcement. Amid mounting Israeli pressure, French President Emmanuel Macron announced at the United Nations General Assembly that France formally recognizes the State of Palestine. On September 21, 2025, several countries, including the UK, Canada, Portugal, and Australia, had already extended formal recognition to Palestine. It's a decision that resonates far beyond Paris, London, Sydney, or New York. A decision that echoes the struggles of generations of Palestinians and the political battles of the Middle East. To truly grasp its significance, we need to take a journey through history. The story begins during the final days of the Ottoman Empire. As the First World War raged, the great powers of Europe eyed the collapsing empire and drew secret plans. In 1916, France and Britain signed the Sykes-Picot Agreement, carving up the Middle East into spheres of influence. Palestine was included, though the local population had little say in its fate. In 1917, just a year later, the British government issued the Balfour Declaration, promising the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. Yet Britain had also promised Arab leaders an independent kingdom in the same region. By 1922, the League of Nations granted Britain a mandate to administer Palestine. The mandate reinforced the Balfour Declaration, including plans for Jews to acquire Palestinian citizenship. In 1937, the British Peel Commission proposed partitioning the territory into Jewish and Arab states. Violence erupted, but no lasting solution emerged. Then came 1947, a pivotal year. Britain, exhausted by war and international pressure, handed the issue to the United Nations. Resolution 181 proposed partition, a Jewish state, an Arab state, and Jerusalem under international control. Arab nations rejected the plan outright. But on May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion proclaimed Israel's independence. For Palestinians, this moment marked the Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic, symbolizing the mass displacement and loss of homeland. Hundreds of thousands were forced from their homes. Israel now controlled 77% of mandatory Palestine, far beyond the UN's original plan. By 1949, Israel joined the UN, while Jordan took the West Bank and East Jerusalem, and Egypt assumed control over Gaza. In 1964, the Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO, was founded in Cairo, representing the Palestinian people in the international arena. The story took another dramatic turn in 1967. During the Six-Day War, Israel captured the West Bank, East Jerusalem, Gaza, the Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. A new occupation began, and Jewish settlements were rapidly established. By 1974, the UN recognized the Palestinians' right to self-determination and granted the PLO observer status. The late 1980s brought a new phase of struggle. The first intifada, the War of Stones, erupted in 1987, spreading from Gaza to the West Bank. Ordinary Palestinians, armed with little more than courage and stones, challenged Israeli occupation. The uprising also gave rise to Hamas, a militant group rejecting compromise and calling for Israel's destruction. In 1988, the PLO proclaimed the independent State of Palestine in Algiers, implicitly recognizing Israel, a gesture signaling a desire for legitimacy on the world stage. Hope seemed to flicker in 1993. Yasser Arafat, PLO leader, and Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin shook hands on the White House lawn, signing the Oslo Accords after secret negotiations in Norway. The agreements promised Palestinian autonomy and a path to eventual statehood, laying the foundation for the Palestinian Authority. Oslo was historic, but the hardest questions remained unresolved: Jerusalem, refugees, and Israeli settlements. By 1995, Oslo Accords further divided the West Bank into three zones. Zone A, fully administered by Palestinians. Zone B under joint control. Zone C, over 60% of the territory, remained entirely under Israeli administration. Meanwhile, divisions deepened within Palestinian leadership. Hamas and Fatah, the main political factions, clashed over Gaza, undermining unity. The Arab Peace Initiative of 2002 offered Israel normalization in exchange for withdrawal from occupied territories and recognition of a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. The UN Security Council's Resolution 1397 echoed international support for a two-state solution, but tangible progress remained elusive. In 2005, Mahmoud Abbas was elected president of the Palestinian Authority. Israel withdrew from Gaza, yet internal divisions between Fatah and Hamas intensified. By 2007, Hamas seized Gaza by force, further fracturing Palestinian governance. International efforts continued, but recognition remained partial and symbolic. The 2010s saw diplomatic momentum. In 2011, Palestine formally requested UN membership and joined UNESCO, angering the United States, which suspended funding to the agency. In 2012, the UN granted Palestine non-member observer state status. The following years saw Palestinian engagement with UN agencies and the International Criminal Court, even as Israeli settlements expanded. Then came Donald Trump. In 2017, his administration recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The 2020 Trump peace plan outlined a fragmented Palestinian state connected by tunnels and railways, a proposal widely seen as undermining genuine sovereignty. Tragedy returned to the headlines on October 7, 2023, when Hamas launched deadly attacks on Israel, prompting a devastating Israeli response in Gaza. The world's attention turned once again to a conflict that had seemed frozen in time, highlighting the urgent need for a resolution. In 2024, the UN General Assembly raised Palestine to permanent observer status. Spain, Ireland and Norway recognized the state. France watched closely. And now, in 2025, Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, Mark Carney and Anthony Albanese step forward. They declare recognition of the Palestinian state, framing it not just as a moral imperative, but a political necessity. The announcement comes amid rising tensions in the West Bank, ongoing settlement expansion, and a region still scarred by decades of conflict. This moment is more than symbolic. It is a statement that the world cannot ignore, that the quest for Palestinian statehood, delayed and contested for more than a century, deserves formal acknowledgement. Yet the question remains: will recognition change reality on the ground? Can it bring Palestinians the sovereignty they have long sought? Or is it a gesture that will be measured more in international speeches than in tangible freedom for those who have lived under occupation for decades? History shows us the stakes are high. Every promise broken, every war fought, every peace agreement delayed has left its mark.